Well, welcome everyone. Welcome to the Bold Vision podcast, where we spotlight forward thinking leaders in the construction industry. We focus on helping contractors and builders grow revenue, expand their visibility, and scale confidently. Be sure to leave us a comment below and be sure to follow us on Spotify and YouTube. I'm your host. My name is Sonya Sanchez, and today I have the honor of having Madison Silver here with me. She's a brand ambassador at Fortress Foundation Solutions, and we're just so happy to have her. She is the driving force behind the brand of that company. So, welcome, Madison. I am so glad to have you here. And I did forget to say before I let you jump in that the Fortress Foundation Solutions, they're elite experts in basement waterproofing, foundation repair, crawl space repair, and concrete leveling across Virginia and Maryland. So that's what the company does. So, hello, Madison. Welcome today. I'm so glad to have you.
Hi, Sonia. Thank you for having me. Yeah, I know it's a mouthful, Fortress Foundation Solutions, and then all of our services. I try to make it easy by just saying all things basementy and letting people's minds wander. What is that? What does that mean? Too
Right.
funny. Thank you
Yeah.
for
So,
the pleasure, for the introduction.
yeah, well, great. I'm so happy to have you here today. And why don't we just jump right in? Tell us
Okay.
about yourself. Tell us a little bit about your journey, even maybe before joining Fortress and what made you join them. And yeah, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, I could do that. It's one of my least favorite questions, but let's dive into it. I'm the brand ambassador. Like I said, so I am located in Frederick, Maryland. I've been there for about 10 years now. I come from Northern Virginia. That's where I was raised in Reston. I have worked many, many jobs. I didn't know what I wanted to do after high school, so I just bounced around until I found something. I worked as a shift manager at a gas station for a very long time. I was a full-time server at one point. I worked at Safeway. I mean, I've just done a lot of things. I was a physical therapy technician, and then I realized I didn't like touching people that much. It just was not my jam. And while I was working as a full-time server, I was making good money and it was awesome, but it kind of hit me when I hit an age like I need to find a career. I need to do something. I need to do something else than this. And I think anyone that has been a full-time waitress or waiter, server can attest to it gets so tiring after a while. Full-time, the money's good, but the mental health is not. So I was on shift at the restaurant and I was applying to all of these places on Indeed. And, I found a listing for part time work on the weekends to do door hangers and yard signs for a place called Fortress Foundation Solutions. And I'm like, wow, this sounds great. I'll do it. Why not? Make some extra money. I was, trying to dilly dally with DoorDash, and I
Okay.
didn't really like that. You have to be like very committed to that thing for it to work.
Right. So
Anyways,
what
I
year
start
what year was this? Like 2020? Was it after COVID
20
or before COVID?
I guess in the miss. It was 2022,
Okay.
2022, 23. Yeah, 2022.
Okay.
And I started off doing those door hangers and yard signs. I was with the company for maybe 3 months, just doing what I was doing and just lightly kind of just dabbling. And I wanted to learn everything about this company. From the second I joined, I'm like, yeah, I'm doing door hangers and yard signs, but what is it that you guys do? It was so intriguing to me. And I started learning the science behind, everything. And, I was offered a full-time position in which I was like, absolutely, and they have sent me to training multiple times. And now I handle a lot of their marketing. Lead gen. I'm dealing with Google and Google algorithms. And it's amazing how much this company has taught me and, how much they've put into me and how much I've grown since starting.
Right. So
Yeah.
you said, so did you get the job from Indeed? Is that how because you said you were working as a server, but you actually applied on Indeed and then you got the interview?
Yep.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about the owners because most of the time it's a little bit different of a podcast. I mean, most of the time I highlight, the business owners themselves. They
Yeah.
get to tell us, why they started the company, all of those
100%.
things. This is a little bit different, but I really wanted you on because you do brand marketing. I met you at a networking event, so
Hmm.
I know that you're out there. So why don't you just tell us a little bit about the owners and about the company, maybe the history that you do know, of, what made them start this. Is this a family business? I mean, tell us a little bit about the owners.
That's my favorite question. I love talking about them. They are the coolest people to literally ever exist, other than
Okay.
you, Sonia. So let's start off with our in house owner, Jerry Glinsky. He started Fortress 7 or 8 years ago. We just celebrated a birthday. So it's one of those. I believe it's 7 years. And he started the company 7 years ago. So he actually thought of the idea in a basement, which is super neat. He was working for another company that did similar things, and then they got bought out by who is now one of our greatest competitors in the area. And, I think he was on crew with them after they got bought out for, I mean, I have to think it was a month, maybe less. And
Okay.
he did not like how they were doing business. He didn't like just the sell something to sell it, because it lost that personable touch. You're going into people's homes, you're helping them with their greatest investment. It's a very, sensitive situation. And he just didn't like the way that business was being done. So he said, I'm out. I'm good. He had a hand of experience in this industry and he was like, yeah, no, this isn't how I want to do things. So he branched off to start his own company, Fortress Foundation Solutions. And with doing so, he partnered with a man named Larry Janeski.
Okay.
Larry Janeski is my favorite person ever, other than Jerry. I love Jerry. He's awesome. Larry Janeski is the powerhouse behind basement science, dry basement science, crawl space encapsulation. He coined the term encapsulation. So when you hear, you've heard of it before. Larry Janeski, my owner, actually, coined the term because he was at a marina. He started up in the building boom. He was he was an 18-year-old boy working with his cousin and his brother. And he put an ad in the paper. He had started selling little flower seeds and stuff that he found in the mail, became an entrepreneur as a young boy, and then started, putting ads in the newspaper. It was the building boom. And he said, I'll build a house. Call Larry, we'll build it, whatever. Anything, no job is too big or too small. And a man called Larry and said, hey, I want to build a house. All of the contractors, are busy. Can you do it? And Larry's an 18-year-old boy who's never built a house before. And he goes, yeah, we can build it. So him, his cousin, and his brother built a house. And, I think it was like a few years later after that, that house had a basement and that basement leaked.
Okay.
And Larry Janeski, if you have ever heard of him or checked out he has podcasts, audiobooks, he has Spotify, he has a music album, he's
That's
written books.
awesome.
He's
I'm gonna
just,
I'm gonna make sure that
yeah,
I go check him out because I'm not
absolutely.
familiar with the name. So
Yeah.
that's why I love these podcasts because I learn as much as I learn
Yes.
every day, and yeah, it's back and forth, so it's a lot of fun. Okay, so
that
go
that
ahead.
basement leaked and the homeowner said, hey Larry, the house you built me, the basement, it has a crack in it, it's leaking, bringing in water. And that is what started everything, because
Okay,
Larry doesn't touch something and leave it unsettled, so
right.
he got hyper fixated on it and he went to create a whole solution, the total solution for waterproofing in the basement. So and now here we are, many many years later, and that is kind of the rest is history. And by
Right.
history I mean there's books and everything written about it, but I could talk about Larry and his journey forever.
Yeah. So speaking about the owners, I mean, it sounds like you really like them. They're really
Yes.
good guys. So why don't you just tell us some of the core values, about the company? Some other really, things that just stick out to you that, makes you want to be a part of this organization. And yeah, tell us about their core
Yeah.
values, how they treat their employees, training. I mean, whatever comes to mind.
Right. So I can say, our mission is to create a team of remarkable people that love to deliver a wow experience. We love going above and beyond for people. Our vision for every home to be stable, safe, and healthy. I'm the brand ambassador. I can recite this off of the back of my head. But our core values, we hire and we fire by them. So our core values, they are positivity, teamwork, respect, GSD initiative. GSD, get stuff done. Yes, and we hire and fire by those values. There is no in between. If you come into work every day and just a negative attitude, if you're not trying to work with your team, if you're not respecting people, if you're not growing, we really are firm on those. And I love this company because one of the first things that I was told in training was, we are ladies and gentlemen serving ladies and gentlemen. We treat everyone's home like it's our own home, and that is ingrained in our brains. We do right by the people, and that's why I love Fortress. We work with people. We are obviously human operated,
Mm-hmm.
and the way that we back our work, our products, just it's the most amazing thing. I've never worked for a company that has done so much good by people. I've never had a company that believed in their people so much. When you're in Fortress, like, we call it a family. I know that's like, nowadays they're like, oh, you can't call your workplace your family, but these people have become my family. They have grown me, they have sent me to training, they have watered me as if I was like a little seed, and now I'm blossoming into a plant.
Right.
I hated that analogy. I don't know why I just said that, but I felt it. It was good.
Right.
Um, and just the way that they give into their people, and the way that we treat homeowners, the way that we are just out to help. We want to be the total solution. We want people to call us and be nothing but thrilled. And we'll do
Yeah.
everything to get them there. I mean, you could leave us a 4-star review and say, yeah, they were great, but they didn't bring me a cup of coffee. I don't know. That's just so outlandish. We will send them a year supply of coffee. Like, come on. Like, I want you to be overly satisfied. And if any
That's
of our future homeowners or past homeowners are listening to this, please don't ask us for coffee, but we will bring it if you ask.
Yeah.
So,
No, that's great. That's great. I mean, customer first, that's great. You want to make sure you
mhm.
have satisfied clients. And so as the brand ambassador, okay, like what is your day? Because we're going to talk a little bit about field operations too, 'cause since you've done some training, you might have some
Mhm.
really cool stories of some crazy, projects. But like for you, what is your day to day look like? Like, what's your role? What's your day to day? Just give us a run through about, just a regular, usual day for you.
Every day is different. Every day, and that's why I love this job. It keeps me just constantly on my toes. But my job is very much grassroots, lead generation, making connections, business to business to homeowners, raising awareness so people know that we exist. There's a lot of contractors out there, but we are different. We're out here, we exist. So my day to day is going to networking groups, kind of screaming basements from the rooftop. It is dealing with our social media. It is, kind of being the hype woman around our office and pumping the guys up. Is dealing with, homeowners and, answering their questions, answering their concerns, easing their anxieties when it comes to, dealing with a contractor. I mean, I'm sure, you know plenty about that. There's a lot of anxiety that, comes into play when you're reaching out to people. I am fighting with Google and the Google bots, and putting fresh content on, the internet. So people, when they search us, we show up in their city. There are so many things. Yeah, that is hosting water balloon fights, for our cookout days. That's one of our prime, it's one of my prime job responsibilities as well. But, follow-ups, meeting people, and just letting people know what we do and that we exist.
Yeah, so it sounds like you guys do have a lot of engagement in the networking, in the communities, giving back. But one thing that did come to mind, yeah, I was going to ask you about Google. So,
Mhm.
how do you go about? I mean, are you the person responsible for getting those reviews like after a project is completed? What's your system in making sure that you follow up with the client and you try to get that 5-star review, on your Google
Mhm.
Business profile?
So that's where teamwork, one of our values, come into play. So I am more on the marketing side, although I have been, training to get into sales, learn how to design the systems and all of that, but primarily I am marketing. So when it comes to reviews, that is more or less in the hands of our system designers, the people that go out, the one that you're in constant contact with, the one that designed the system. And it also comes into play with our foremen, when they come out and they're installing the job, and then they get your home waterproofed, and then they're, leaving your house cleaner than when they got there. That's in their arena for the most part. I
Yeah.
get reviews, again, through just like business connections and things like that, but majority
Right.
of it comes from our system designers and our foremen.
Yeah, I just know, being in the construction industry for as long as I was, that's just really a hard place for a lot of people. I mean, even
Hmm.
like dental offices and stuff like that, like people just have a problem, like just asking the client. and please can you give me a review. And it's so important. People don't understand that Google loves reviews. And so having a system in place, and I know when those guys are done waterproofing, I mean, they're ready to get the hell out of there. The last thing they're thinking about doing is asking the customer for a 5-star review, but we have some systems in place. And another thing is making your foreman be part of your content, because just by them
Yeah.
taking a quick video or taking pictures while they're there, that gives you so much more
Hmm.
resources to build content out, to put on your Google business, to put on your social media. And sometimes I think the business owners need to say, "Hey, every time you get a Google review, that's $10 bonus, no
Hmm.
taxes, $10 or Starbucks card or something, to give them incentive, because it's really hard to get them to do that when they're in the field. And so it's almost like you have to train them, that is just part of the culture. It's part of their job. I mean, we want you to do the
Hmm.
waterproofing, but we want to keep you busy, and we want to keep the business coming. So
Hmm.
we want to be found on Google. So that's good. That's
No,
really good.
100%. And I like how you said you have to teach them. You have to, show them what a good before and after photo looks like. When our system designers go out to the job before any work is done, they take pictures. This is what the basement looks like. This is the entry door. These are the obstacles. Then come our Monday mornings, they review with the foreman and they say, hey, this is the job. This is the homeowner. This is what they're like. This is their dog's name. This is what's going on. This is what you're looking for. And it's the foreman's job, to go in, obviously make sure everything's cohesive and everyone's happy, and explain it to the homeowner, what to expect, what's going to be going on. And afterwards, doing a final walkthrough with the homeowner, saying, hey, does everything here look all right? Are you happy? Like, do you like what you're seeing? I know that the concrete, because we don't do anything new, but we do, cover up for the most part. Like if we do an interior waterproofing system, we have to do a jackhammering by the perimeter. We'll
Okay.
cover that with concrete, but that's about as much, you know, that will do. But we go down there. I know the concrete's wet, but how does it look? How are you feeling? Are you satisfied with us and with the company? And when the homeowner's like, absolutely, we're like, that's great. Could you help us, get more outreach to people so we can help more homeowners like you, and leave us, that 5-star Google review? And please put my name in it, because Fortress loves putting on a cool competition. We love like in-house, just, who can get the most Google reviews, who's asking. And it's good steak dinners, it's Sheets gift cards. It is just, I mean, you name it, we've done something fun about it. So our
Yeah.
guys are very, very engaged with that, I like to
Well,
think.
make sure you stay on it, Madison, because that's a
Yeah.
really, really important component of your Google presence. And I
Hmm.
mean, there are other things too, but that is a major one. And people miss the boat. I mean, it's free. Yes, you
Yeah.
got to ask the customer. Yes, you might have to put it on an invoice. You might have to send them a text or an
Yes.
email. But you know what? At the end of the day, it's still free, to get
Hmm.
that review, and it builds authority. And Google loves companies that have authority and trust. I
Hmm.
mean, that's what they like, and they like to put you in the front of the algorithm when you do that. So good
Yes.
job. Yeah, keep it up.
Thank
So
you.
yeah, so let's just go to a couple of stories about, a couple of jobs, because I've never done, I mean, I've worked in the commercial realm. So I've never really worked in the residential aspect, like, a basement, waterproofing. So I'm a little curious to know, like, what would cause the basement to flood? Like, what should homeowners look out for? Because
Mhm.
there could be something that could be prevented before it actually floods, right? So why don't you tell us, like, what are some tips that a homeowner might look out for, that might give them an indication that there's a problem?
Yeah, absolutely. So there are a few things, and I'll try to keep this simple because I can nerd out occasionally. And I
That's
think
all right.
we're already establishing I'm a yapper. So when it comes to waterproofing or a lot of water intrusion, one of the biggest things that we see that causes that water to get into your basement is the gutters are too close to the foundation. The gutters are, they'll drop off right there. And whether that's even, causes void in concrete as well. If your gutters are discharging right next to your sidewalk, right next to your patio, that water's just washing it out. Or in a case of a basement, that water's just puddling right by your foundation. It's finding a very happy home in that loose soil, that backfill soil. When they dig your house, they put dirt back. That dirt is looser soil. the water finds a happy home and it starts building. And there's a term,
Okay.
hydrostatic pressure. And hydrostatic pressure is the weight of water on top of itself. The more water, the more water, the more water. Water follows the path of least resistance. Water's going to find its way into any crevice, any crack. This is the kicker. When a home is built, most homes are built in three pieces. You pour the footer, right? You stop, you let that dry. Then, after that dries, you pour the floor. Then you let the floor dry. Then you build the walls and you let
Correct.
that dry. And, you do all of the other fun things to it. But when you're doing those three man made components, you're making man made cracks. So your home, when it's built, already has cracks for that water to just find a nice, happy home, like home in, and alleviate that pressure that's the outside forces. But one of the most common things that we see again is those gutters are just way too close to the foundation, way too close, discharging right onto those patios, causing a nice little void. When it comes to foundation cracks and settlement, there's really nothing you can do about that. When the second a home is built, it starts to settle. It's all about that weight bearing capacity that the soil has. I mean, you have to think, what's more heavy, a slab of concrete or some dirt, a slab of concrete.
Well, it still doesn't matter. Well, I mean, it could be the same weight. It just, but you would have to have several tons of dirt to equal the weight of the concrete.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I would say concrete is probably heavier. It's, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. I'm losing.
Denser. I
Yeah,
don't know.
yeah.
Okay.
It's more
Like I said, I've been
compacted,
trying, but
where dirt is like
yes,
loose. And so yeah, it seems
exactly.
like the concrete would be. So yeah, so I mean, so like what are the first signs if a homeowner, I mean, what would be the first signs that they might think that they need to call you or call someone like you to come look at something?
So obviously water in the basement, a white chalky substance on the walls. You've seen a like discoloration, right? That's
Okay.
called efflorescence. Efflorescence is the mineral deposit left behind from the water
Okay.
evaporating through the walls, right? I always say the nose knows, right?
Okay.
Musty, dusty smells. You can smell
Smell.
it. You can feel humidity. You can feel it, just
Yeah.
creeping in through your home. I can ruin your day with a fact if you'd like. Okay. If you insist, I'll do it.
Yeah. We
Up
want
to
customer
50,
stories, impacts, whatever you got to tell us.
up to 50% of the air that you breathe in your home comes from your basement or your crawl space. So you'll smell that musty, dusty, upstairs in your living room. You'll feel that humidity. You'll be blasting the AC and it's still just not it's not cold, it's the air's escaping. It's just there's so many things.
Okay.
Cracks in your concrete. Like I said, we have such a vague service repair. So there's so many things that I could talk about, but I would say leaks, cracks, any sort of crawl space, musty, dusty, kind of odors, moisture, humidity, things like that.
Okay, so tell us some customer stories. Tell us something, that just really impacted you. It was devastating to the owner and you guys made a wonderful impact or, I don't know, just tell us a story.
So we have a lot of success stories. I want to share one that was not successful, actually, because this one has always sat with me since I started. So there was a homeowner, and actually one of my coworkers, John, he dealt closely with this homeowner. So this homeowner, I think her name was Sarah. She had a house, and the house had sticking doors, and the doors like they wouldn't close all the way, constantly kind of just pop open. They didn't close. The windows were sticking, you open it, it slams back down, or you couldn't get it up. It didn't fit in, the frames. So she called a windows and door company and she got all new windows and doors. She replaced all of the original frames, all of the windows. I mean, she decked this place out. It looked good, you know? A few months later, the same exact thing was happening to these brand new doors, brand new windows, sticking, not closing, not being cohesive. And she called a home inspector, and the home inspector said, "You need a foundation specialist. Your home is moist. You have a crawl space. There's a lot of issues down there." And it was causing her house to kind of sink and settle, and that was her primary issue. So Fortress was able to go out and stabilize the foundation, but because she had changed out all of the doors and the windows and kind of, I guess, in a way, I don't want to say jumped the gun, because I'm in the industry where you don't know until you know, but
Right.
because she went ahead with the windows and the doors instead of addressing the actual concern. The home was stabilized. It wasn't sinking anymore, but she was kind of SOL with the windows and the doors. And that always stuck with me.
That's
But
a
now I can
lot
come
of
back.
money. That's a lot. I mean, doors and windows are
Yeah.
very expensive. So she had to replace them again, or were they warranted? I wonder what happened with all her doors and her windows.
Yeah, yeah. I honestly, at this point, I mean, she must have had to replace him again. I'm not too sure. I just know that that was one of the very sad stories that I've heard of. I could tell you a customer success story is we had a homeowner where her daughter had severe asthma, severe just like issues. I don't have those issues, so I don't know the correct terminology. Respiratory, there we go. I was looking
Yeah,
for it.
respiratory. Okay,
Respiratory
right.
problems, and it wasn't great. And she had searched around. She was calling air people and air specialists, and one of those companies knew Fortress, knew to refer us, and was like, hey, let's get your crawl space checked out. She had a dirt vented crawl space with a lot of moisture down there, organic growth, this, that, the third. And Fortress came in, and again, when I was saying in the beginning, it encapsulated it completely. We shut off the vents. We completely closed out the earth from the home. We brought the outside, we kept it out, and we brought the inside in, and completely enhanced this little girl's, like just entire way of living. I mean, her mom
Right.
called us months later and was like, she's actually sleeping through the night. She's not hacking all the time. It was spectacular with, proper dehumidification, a spectacular, air purifier, an encapsulation. Just it changed her life. So
That's
things like that
awesome.
is what fueled me. Yeah.
Yeah, that is very impactful when you can help people like
Hmm.
that, especially younger people that, they don't have any control over the situation, and
Yeah.
that their health is really being impacted by something, so negative like that. So, yeah, we're glad that you guys are in that business because I'm sure
Yeah.
you help a lot of people. So, from your branding vision, where would you like to see, what are your top growth priorities, say in the next 1 to 2 years for this company? I mean, what's your vision for the company?
That is a great one. I would say for us to be able to touch every single home and fix them, but that is completely, it is manageable, but we'll take it easy. I think from a branding standpoint, I would like for us to grow and double in size when it comes to, especially my Maryland office here. We do have two locations, one in Lynchburg, one in Maryland. I would love to see us get a third location somewhere in the middle grounds because it is a lot of driving for my guys, driving from Frederick, Maryland to Fredericksburg, Virginia, so on and so forth. I would love for everyone to know Fortress exists and, have some sort of idea of when to call us.
Yeah.
And that's, yeah.
Okay. So what advice do you have for contractors, that are looking to build a trusted partnership with you, word of mouth brand? I mean, what would you tell other contractors? Like, just given your expert on how you're branding this company, what your vision is. This is like for other companies that maybe are starting out, or
Yeah.
they're venturing out in their marketing, they're not really sure what to do. I mean, do you have advice for companies that are younger companies that are maybe wanting to hire someone like yourself? What advice would you give them?
Think one of the most important things that, especially that I've taken from Fortress, is to know your why, own your mission, vision, and values. That is the most important part of any company is knowing your why, knowing what you're doing, having that in place, and just repping what you do, being proud of it. People can feel that authenticity.
Yep.
Authenticity. That
Yep,
feels right.
that's
Yeah.
correct.
All
Yeah.
right. I know basements. I don't know proper grammar most of the time, but they can feel that radiating off of you. You need to be proud of what you do. If you're not happy every day when you wake up and you're going to work or, going to your career, going into every day,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there's no point. All of my guys are happy to be here. Everyone puts their whole heart into what they do because bottom line is in the construction industry, we're helping people. We are out every day, making dreams come true, whether it's like improving, their well-being, improving their dreams and their realities, their everyday life. I mean, there's so much that goes into it. And I just think that you need to believe in what you're doing. You need to
Right.
know what you're doing. You need to believe in it and you need to have that heart and rep your mission, vision, and values. I think technically it's vision, mission, and values, but you know what? We're rolling with what I'm saying. So,
Yeah.
but I truly feel like that is the most important part because having heart goes a long way.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, I've really enjoyed hearing your story and, hearing more about Fortress, because I had never heard about them
Hmm.
before. Don't, like I said, I don't know a whole lot about the whole waterproofing and basement sector of construction, only in the commercial aspect of it. So
Hmm.
it's been interesting for me to hear, what you had to say. And it sounds like you're really in good hands with some good people that, treat their employees well and all of those things. So if there's any, is there anything else that you want to share? I mean, anything that you can think of as far as maybe, for other companies too, community relations, branding, networking. I mean, how much business has that really brought you guys? I mean, how has that impacted your company in a positive way?
So to answer with the networking and having me, I guess, out on the ground, it is very hard to find the numbers, to be able to say, okay, Madison did this and this is the exact results, the direct results we got from it, because you can't really gauge it. I can say that in the almost 3 years that I've been with the company, they've noticed that in their slower seasons, when it's pretty typical for us to kind of slow down in the winter, so on and so forth, that we've maintain steady. There hasn't been those drops because there has been, that grassroots effort. Someone is putting down the yard signs, someone is driving around in a branded vehicle all over all day long, just having that recognition has gone wonders, has done wonders. And just getting out in the community, joining the local chambers, visiting networking groups. I feel like when people are networking, they think it has to be so specific, like, oh, well, I do basements. Why am I going to go to this tech on tap event? Why would I
Okay.
go? It says everyone's welcome. We're going to be discussing AI. Okay, that has nothing to do with basements. People are there socializing. Just go say hi. Go show some face, wear a branded t-shirt, and go have fun. I mean, that's how I met you. And
Yeah.
connections like this also grows, the business is finding awesome people like yourself that, are like, what, I have spent so much time in the construction industry, Madison. You are, in it. I think it's great. I want to talk to you about it. Now I'm doing marketing for, the building industry, and, you're just trying to raise awareness, and people like you help us grow by doing that. Now I know you, and I'm going to help you grow by, spreading your name, spreading what you're doing. This podcast is awesome. And that's just it. What do they say? It's not about what you know, it's about who you know. And that's a big thing. So, know people, go out and talk to them.
Right.
Just shake some hands and talk about. I don't want to say the weather sometimes, as a waterproofer, I do like to talk about rain, but, talk about whatever. I mean, you and I talked about some very random stuff. And then you were like, yeah, let's put you on a podcast. And I'm like, sounds good. So, and whatever you say, I trust you,
Yeah.
because I know you.
Right.
And that's the magic.
Yeah, no, it is. It's networking has been a great experience for me. I mean, like I wanted to do it before, but I was working full time in the construction industry. I mean, that job was just sucking the life out of me because I was just so tired and
Yeah.
exhausted from getting up at 4 a.m., doing that all day long, and then coming home and working on my business in the evening and the weekends. I mean, it just, it got really exhausting. But I can honestly say, one of my mentors and coach, when I did make the step that I was going to quit my job and do this, he said, girl, scream from the fucking rooftop. Let
Yeah.
every single person know what you do. They can't help you if they don't know. So go through your
That part.
phone, go talk to every single person you know, and then get out there and, put yourself out there, start, doing networking. And yeah, I mean, I took the advice and I did. I went through my phone first and went through
Yes.
every single person that I knew, and and then just started like this cycle that I was just, on a mission. I was going to meet more and more people. I was going to get my name out there. And I mean, I have
Hmm.
met some incredible people, and the people in Northern Virginia, I mean, they're all about success and they definitely want to help
There.
you.
Yeah. It is.
Yeah.
It's business. It's motivational. Everybody is just doing something, and those are the kind of people, as you know, that you need to surround yourself with. Is you need to surround yourself with other people that are doing things, you know.
Correct.
It's the most basic quote, but you miss all of the shots that you don't take. Yes, 100%. You have to be told no, you know, 9 times for that 10th time to actually work out. And then boom, you know, and I admire you for that, because branching out, you know, leaving what you've always known and branching out to do better for yourself, even if you don't have a very clear, like, this is exactly what it's going to be, you know, you just have the mentality of, I'm going to make something happen, is that 1%, you know, that makes
Yeah.
all of the difference.
Yeah, well, some days, I mean, just
Yeah.
taking imperfect action. It's okay to make mistakes. I don't have to know
Mhm.
everything because I learn from the mistakes that I make and I'm constantly growing. So, really, that's all
Yes.
that matters. And, in my heart, I want to help people. I mean, yes, at the end of the day, I need to bring in an income, but I
Hmm.
genuinely care about people and their business. And I know, what it takes to get them ranking. And, when I do the research, I can find the holes and what's missing and where I can help them. And, that's my passion. And if I feel like I can't help them, I'll let them know, for whatever reason, this isn't a good fit for me, or, I don't know
Hmm.
enough about this or whatever it might be. So I just think being honest, being authentic, being trustworthy, putting your name out there. I mean, because and your word. Like, a lot of times
Hmm.
I say, well, if I say I'm going to do something, I do it regardless, because that's the
Yep.
only thing I have is my word. I can't control other people, but I can control me. And so if I say I'm going to do something, I definitely, strive very hard to make sure that I'm always delivering on what I say I'm going to do.
100%. Sonia, you are so real, and that just radiated off of you from the second I met you, and that's why I was like, yes, whatever she's doing, I want in. I don't know what Sonia's up to. We need a one-to-one. We need to talk. I want to get to know you better for sure, and you are just thriving in what you're doing. And you know, I know that the other members of the group that you visited are extremely excited to have you back, and I've heard nothing but good things come out of everybody's mouth about you. I mean, it is just spectacular.
That's awesome. Well, thank you
You're
so
doing
much.
the
That
thing.
was yeah, I'm
Yes.
supposed to be here encouraging you and spotlighting you, and I really do
You are
appreciate that.
encouraging me.
So I do appreciate that. Yeah, but on my podcast, I mean, I really like to, take any light off of myself and really shine it on the people that are on my show, and, to just really tell about their business, tell us about them, their stories, so that other people that are listening, if they come across waterproofing, they have a basement, they have these issues, we're giving them the education and the information that is valuable to them, because some people might not know what to do. So in closing, Madison, I'm just going to ask you, like, just tell everybody how we can get a hold of, give us your phone numbers, email, website address, just LinkedIn. I mean, tell everybody how they can get in touch with you, or with someone at Fortress Solutions.
Yes, so you can find us. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, I mean, TikTok if you want, although I've noticed, you know, I'm not really too active on there anymore. LinkedIn, it's all Fortress Foundation Solutions, just that one word, no spaces. Search us online, fortressfoundationsolutions.com. You can give us a call. You can give us a call. You can text for, a free estimate. You can apply online, anything. We are just search Fortress Foundation Solutions or all things basement tea, and you will find us.
Okay, and what's the office number? Go ahead and just tell everybody what the phone number is.
Girl, I don't have my business card on me. Hold
That's
on.
okay. Don't worry about it. We'll cut this out. I
Yeah.
can edit this. No
Yeah.
problem. No,
I'm like,
Fortress
wait a minute.
Foundation Solution is good. Okay. Well, I'll just,
Yeah.
yeah, no problem. All right, Madison. Well, just hang on tight. But yeah, we're going to wrap it up. And I just want to thank everybody for, being with us today. Hopefully you will
Yeah.
watch us on Spotify and YouTube. This is like our maybe seventh episode now. So, and I also wanted to say kudos to Madison. She's the first woman, female, that I've had on the show. I do have a few others
Yes.
lined up, but I definitely want to get some more women out there. And Madison, we really appreciate you joining us today. So thank you so much. And I
Thank
look
you.
forward to seeing you again soon. And okay, well, that's going to wrap it up for the podcast today. Thank you for joining.